Beauty and the Beast is among one of the most popular fairy tales ever, especially with this new Emma Watson live-action version. It's got everybody hyped up again. But if you're a huge Disney fan and you do a little bit of digging, you would find that some of your favorite fairy tales come with very shocking origin stories. And I guess Disney somehow completely forgot to include some of these details. So in this episode of FTD News in History, let's take a look at the real story behind the Beauty and the Beast. My name is Leroy Kenton, and I'm telling you guys, only watch this video if you really want to ruin your childhood. I'm just saying.
That's impossible!
Search your feelings, you know it to be true.
Once upon a time, a French novelist by the name of Gabrielle Suzanne Bardot de Villeneuve penned the unbelievably famous fairy tale The Beauty and the Beast back in 1740. Gabrielle Suzanne's version addressed issues of concern of the women of her day. During that time, women were forced into marriage systems that gave them little to no legal rights. As the story begins, Beauty's destiny lies in the hands of her father, who gives her over to the Beast to save her own life, and thus seals her fate. The Beast is a fierce, vile figure, but the emphasis of the story is on his transformation. The Beast must find a way to become human once again. He eventually escapes his fate when Beauty falls in love with him. The most interesting part of the story in this version is that the Beast doesn't transform until after Beauty gets married to him, only to find a handsome human prince beside her bed. This version, however, was rather long, and it was shortened, rewritten, and published by another French author, Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont. In fact, Beaumont didn't even credit that the story was Villeneuve's to begin with. So this follow-up version was published in 1756 in a local magazine. The version that you now come to love is Beaumont's version of the story. So a short story of Beaumont's version of Beauty and the Beast. Well, the Beauty was the youngest daughter of a wealthy widowed merchant who lived in a mansion with 2 sisters and 3 brothers. Beauty's father lost all his wealth in a storm at sea, and they had to move to smaller accommodations. After a few years, Beauty's father heard that one of his ships may have returned, and he went to the docks only to find out all his possessions had been seized to pay off all his debts. On his way back home, the merchant got lost in the forest and stumbled onto a castle. He was able to receive care at the castle, but before he was about to leave, he picked out the loveliest rose for his daughter, Beauty. He was then confronted by the Beast, who threatened to kill him if he didn't send one of his daughters back to the palace in exchange for the rose. The Beast was under a spell that would only be broken if someone truly fell in love with him. If this didn't happen before he turned 21, he would have to live his life as a beast forever. Beauty began living with the Beast, but did not want to be romantically involved with him, and I wouldn't blame her. The Beast, however, was desperate to win Beauty's love so that he could break the spell that would transform him back into a human again. But despite that, Beauty was happy at the castle because the Beast treated her well. But she got homesick after a while, and the Beast, having grown fond of Beauty, allowed her to go back home for no more than a week. However, Beauty's sisters convinced her to stay longer because they were jealous of how happy she was and hoped that the Beast would eat her alive when she didn't return in time. Oh yeah, you gotta love sisters, right? On finding out that the Beast was lying half dead in the castle because he starved himself when she didn't return on time, Beauty returned to the castle and declared her love for the Beast. This transformed Beast into a handsome prince, and they lived happily ever after. Then came along Disney. The most popular adaptation of the fairy tale that we've seen on silver screen so far is Walt Disney's animated version that came out in 1991. The film was liked so much that its unfinished version received a 10-minute long standing ovation from the audience when it first premiered at the New York Film Festival. Disney used the adapted version from Beaumont and also borrowed several ideas for the film from a 1946 French version titled La Belle et la Bête, directed by Jean Cocteau. For example, Disney's version also names Beauty as Belle and gives her a handsome suitor named Gaston, who eventually plots to kill the Beast. The Beast is depicted with having the head structure and horns of a bison, the jaws, teeth, and mane of a lion, the eyebrow of a gorilla, the tusk of a wild boar, the arms and body of a bear, and the hind legs and tail of a wolf. Despite having huge success, the Disney version is quite different from the original version that I just shared with you. In fact, Disney took quite a few liberties and changed some of the most classic elements of the tale. The film should have actually been advertised as a new story inspired by the old fairy tale, but Disney didn't do that. And we all know how powerful Disney movies can be. No matter what they show us, it gets perceived by the audience as being the true original version of the story. But let's take a look at some major differences. In the movie, her father, Maurice, becomes a harmless moron, as if he played no role in having Beauty imprisoned in Beast's castle. Maurice plays an inventor and not the wealthy merchant who loses all his fortune, as in the original story. Beauty's request for a rose and her father's unfortunate way of getting one for her gets deleted altogether, along with the jealous sisters. An arrogant suitor called Gaston gets added and presented as the villain of the story. When Belle takes Maurice's place in the castle, Maurice runs off to the village to warn everybody about his daughter and the Beast. Gaston takes advantage of the situation and makes a deal with the head of the town asylum to charge Maurice as mentally insane and to lock him away unless Belle agreed to marry Gaston. By this time, Belle and the Beast grow quite fond of each other, and the Beast even allows Belle to go back and visit her family, but only for a week. Belle doesn't end up returning on time, and meanwhile, Gaston scares the villagers about how potentially harmful the Beast is. In fact, he convinces them to march to the castle to kill the Beast. Gaston ultimately finds a heartbroken Beast and starts beating him up. At the time, the Beast is still extremely upset that Belle hasn't returned to the castle and gets beat by Gaston for not putting up a fight. But when he sees Belle return, the Beast finds his strength. He defeats Gaston and tells him to leave, but Gaston stabs the Beast when his back is turned, and the Beast throws him from the top of the castle to his death. Belle proclaims her love to the dying Beast as the last rose petal falls and the curse gets lifted. Beast and all his servants return to their human forms. He marries Belle, and the two live happily ever after. In short, the heroes and the villains of the story are pretty clear-cut. Beauty and her father are always good. Gaston and his minions are bad. In the old fairy tale, Beauty makes mistakes. She goes home, she forgets about the Beast, and by doing so almost causes his death. But with Disney, we have a perfect heroine who never has the chance to grow. Also, those memorable characters Cosworth and Lumiere, yeah, they don't exist in the original story either. In the original, the Beast was actually living all by himself, which actually makes the situation a lot more depressing than what Disney presented in their version. So there you have it, guys. That was the original story behind the Beauty and the Beast. It's certainly a lot different, isn't it? But hey, the film is pretty entertaining. It's a fun classic. I love the 1991 animated movie, but I haven't seen the new Emma Watson live action version. It looks real good though. I think I might put on my list to watch it this weekend. Who knows? Since you made it to the end of another episode, be sure to check out this other episode of FTD News in History. This woman was dubbed the ugliest woman in the world. Yeah, her name was Julia Pastrana. That's a very interesting one. But in more recent history, you can also have a look at this episode about Kim Goodman, the woman with the biggest eyes in the world. Pretty creepy. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in another episode.